over the United States and talk about excuse me, real estate investing and entrepreneurship. I am Kris Haskins. I'm going to be your co-pilot as we fly with Dan Borrero. How you doing, my homie?
Great, man. Can't complain at all.
It's
Life
good to see you.
life is good when we're on this side of the earth, man.
I know they got some snow in New York. I mean, in Northern Virginia. Did you get some snow up there where you at?
So it's funny. Some parts of the city only got 3 inches. Some parts got like 9 to 10. I happen to be in the part that got 9 to 10.
Oh my lord! Like right now?
Yesterday morning when we woke up, but and today it was freezing. So anything that started to melt that turned into ice.
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about some stuff, Dan. I want to ask you. You've been doing this since 1989. I don't necessarily promote no money down real estate deals. I want to know what's your opinion on that, and just talk about that a little bit for my roundup followers.
So I am not a proponent of that theory because I've never done it that way. I don't know how to do it that way, so I'm not gonna. I'm not the guy that's you could come to ask how to do that because I wouldn't know. I could tell you based on what I've heard how to do it, but I can never tell you based on that I'm on anything that I've actually done that way. The
Mm.
reality is this though. When people come to me and they say, well, so and so says we could do this with no money down. I said, yeah, that's great. How much did it cost you to pay that so and so person to learn how to do it with no money down? And then, and what is he teaching you or she's teaching you? Is it actually applicable within the area that you intend to buy in? Right. So again, there's no such thing as no money down because then even you have to pay the person to teach you how to do it, and then you got to pay someone an organization to go out and get you the leads, and then you got to pay for the time and the cell phone bill and the stamps and all the other expenses that come up with that to then put it to work in the hopes that you actually get in the door, and then you got to pay for someone to train you on how what to say and when not to say it so that you could actually get the deal. So you're paying. It's just a matter of how you determine
How
to
you
pay.
gonna pay? Well, I really wanted to talk about the no money down acquisition, like financing 100% of a purchase price. Like, is that? Do you do that, or do you recommend that stuff? Because I'm some
I've
for
only
me.
done it once, and it was very conventional, literally where the owner was holding the note.
Oh wow, that's amazing right there.
So, um, and I didn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
But the reality is, I had a timeline. I had to come up with a certain amount of money within 12 months, and then I had to come with the full balloon payment within 5 years.
So that was a professional thing you did.
Right. So, um, I don't know how to do it. I've heard of people doing it. I don't know many people that do it successfully. My thing is, if you don't have the money to do it, the question you should be asking is, why don't you have the money to do it?
Mm.
Right? You shouldn't be asking, how do I do it? You should be asking, how can I afford to do this? Right? So I learned a while ago, a long time ago, when I wanted to do something, and if I said to myself, I can't afford it, I got mad at myself
Mm.
because the question that I should have been asking myself is, what is it that I have to do so I could afford to do what I want to do?
Mm.
Right. So if you want to invest in real estate and you don't have the money to do it with, the question you should be asking is,
Why don't I?
why don't you have the money?
Good
And then the
point.
next question you need to be asking is, how do I find out how to, what do I have to do with my finances so that I could afford to that next down payment when I want to do it?
Wow, that's deep right there. That's deep. Yeah. I just think we're in a no money down type of consciousness in our community. Like you can get into this thing, no money here, no money. I just don't know. I don't promote that.
Neither do
Pre-
I. The other thing is this: most of the time when you put no money down, you barely gonna be cash flowing. God forbid you have one tenant that's not paying you. If it's a single
Trouble.
family house, you're done. You're finished.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. I've got a property that has had vacant since November. November, December, January 1st. So I got 4 months gone, Dan. Every day I think about you. I'm getting applications in. I'm like, would Dan Borrero rent to this tenant? What I do I care about? And I could get $1,800 a month, right? And I'm like, do I want to get the headache? No, I'd rather just sit empty, man.
You wait. You wait for the right tenant.
Telling y'all, please, Dan Borrero knows what he's talking about. Wait. I
Wait.
know you want to pay that
Wait.
mortgage. I know you got insurance, you got what else? Mortgage payment,
Taxes.
real estate taxes is all. I promise you it's worth it. I have to remind myself too. So I don't want y'all to think that Dan and I are above being human and looking at these same issues. We all have the same problems. We just have trained ourselves to say, I'm just gonna hold off.
You know what? When it comes to tenants, no, seriously, when it comes to like tenant issues on an application, I didn't train myself. My
What you mean?
professional tenants trained me. They trained me. I got trained by the best professional tenants. So
I can only imagine
they
that.
gave me a whipping. You know, like
They whipped you.
whipped me. They whipped me into shape. That saying they gonna whip you into shape, they whipped me into the shape.
It might have been your inauguration into being who you are today, or
Oh
your
yeah, let me
pledge.
tell you. I remember one time, so, like the third time this happened. The third time I had a bad tenant, and the lawyer, his name was Richard Pilsey. He says, "I see a big change in you." I said, "What's that, Richard?" He says, "The first tenant, boy, you wanted to physically kill him and bury him." He goes, "Now you're really calm." I said, "No, I'm just getting to the point now that I'm thanking these tenants because the lessons that they're teaching me are going to be life learned lessons." That is
Mm,
the honest to God's truth.
that's
Get mad
deep.
at him after the third one. I was like, "Thank you, I appreciate that. You just made it so much harder for everyone else that came behind you."
Well, they showed you what to look for. They revealed what you need to look for.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't take it personal. No.
You know what, man? I'm showing one now. Anyway, so we wanted to talk about this video. Oh yeah, listen, y'all. If you want to come on live, please. The link is right below. Click your iPhone on or click your phone on and come on live. You can ask Dan Borrero and I a question. We're gonna be on here for the next few moments in time. We would love to have you on and let us know your name in the chat and where you're chiming in from. We got Milan and Charlotte. That market is booming. Charlotte is crazy. State of luxury. Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico in the house. I'm
That's
actually going to
cool.
be in Puerto Rico at the end of March.
Dan, tell me about that experience. Tell them real fast about. I remember you explaining to me how slow things move out there. You had to fly out there and record a deed. Can you imagine flying somewhere to record?
This is a funny story. So, my grandmother, my father and I go to Puerto Rico for a relative's wedding, right? And we staying with in his mother's house, and it's my grandmother's house. So we wake up in the morning, and my grandmother, she up and waiting, like waiting for us to wake up, right? And it's like maybe, but now she getting a little annoyed that we ain't up at 6:30 in the morning. You know, like she
This
started.
is the day you leaving or when you got there?
No, 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 no. This was like the day we got there at night, and now it's the following morning.
Oh,
We
okay.
got there around midnight, right? So now,
Mhm.
but she starts banging her pots around, so like as an excuse, like, well, I'm cooking, you got to wake up, basically, right? So as soon as I come I got there to the dining room table before my father. There's a piece of paper, and it looks real official, So I'm like, I ask her in Spanish, what's this? She goes, well, I'm gonna wait for your father to come. So of course my father comes out a few minutes later. So she had transferred a deed to my father's name for the house because the inheritance laws in Puerto Rico are just outrageously long to resolve anything after someone's died. So
Mm,
what he wanted to do was say, listen, I'm going to put it under so and so's name, and when I die, because there's four siblings, that person's name that it's under, you sell the house and you split that up among the four of you,
mhm.
right? So so it would be easier for in the event of her death. And by the way, it was much easier. She died
Right.
like 20 years later, and that's exactly what happened.
Mm.
So um, so she's telling my father and I how she paid the attorney all this money to do the new deed and to get it recorded. And she calls every week, and the attorney says that it's going to get done. It's on the process. It's going to get done. And lo and behold, but it's so my father goes there. I go with him, and he says he asks to speak to the attorney. The attorney, says, yeah, come in. And the first thing, my father says is, why isn't this recorded yet? What's the problem? Does my mother owe you any money? If she does, I'll pay you, but let's get this done. you know and he turns around and he says, things don't work like that here. You come here with that New York attitude. Things really go a pace here. We don't work like that. And
Just
he has
just
that
talk about a deed here. I
right.
mean, this is not like a
Deed, that's
deed
all.
of trust and
So no, nothing like that. Simple deed. So he turns around. And he says, "So is this the? Let me have a copy. You have a copy of the deed?" He goes, "Yeah, of course I have a copy of the deed." And it's sitting literally in a pile like this big, right? So he looks through the pile. He pulls it out. He says, "Yeah." So my father says, "Isn't the courthouse down the corner?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "What do I got to do?" He goes, "You got to go to the Department of Records." We walk in there. We out of there in 45 minutes.
crazy.
That's all it was. 45 minutes.
This is
Between walking
unbelievable to
there,
me, yo.
between standing online, between telling the lady what we wanted to do, it was like I forget, it was maybe $49 or $59, something ridiculously inexpensive. And we get it stamped, it gets recorded, we got an official copy,
I can't
bring it
believe
back,
it, dude.
and it was like, and of course, everything there was a big thing. So I remember I sold the guy some land, and I'm like, "Yo, listen, I need this deed back. It's been like 3 weeks." He goes, "No, you don't understand." He goes, the lawyer, I left it with the lawyer. I got to wait for him to schedule
Different lawyer
a different lawyer in a different
on
side
the
of the island.
same shit.
So I said to him, "But why did you have to go to a lawyer?" He says, "Well, they're the only ones who could do the notary that the title company wants." I said,
I'm
"But you
like,
got it for 3 weeks." So I call over there and I'm like, "Yo, what's the problem? What, so and so bring you this deed?" He goes, "Yeah, but I get to it when I get to it. I do them all at one time." I said, "But you're charging them $25 to notarize one paper."
what?
Yo,
It
do you
should be
know
$5.
I had to actually call a cousin of mine, Eric, to go pick up the paper, take it to a lawyer another cousin of mine that's an attorney, have him stamp it, and then send it back the next day.
They mailed it to him.
Yes. Yeah. Karma must have karma in Puerto Rico. Yes, that's true. It's ridiculous.
You
So
want to hurt somebody, man? Because this stuff. And Dan, anything can happen in 3 weeks or a month. I mean, you could get
it
hit by
kill
a
the deal.
car.
Anything can happen, it'll kill the deal.
Yeah, dude. And you done already did the deal, though, right?
Nope.
I'm
But
talking
listen,
about. Anyway,
I'm from Puerto Rico. I love my people. We do have a great time. We know how to hang. We know how to relax. But when you come from New York and you go back to Puerto Rico, it's real hard to get back into that temperament. You know?
I want this done. So look, Dan,
Yeah.
if you're watching till tonight, if you want to put the link to my book, if you're having struggling with negotiation, the real estate negotiating Bible is right there in the video description, authored by me, and it shows you all my tricks that I've learned since 2004, how to get a great real estate deal, how to negotiate as an investor, not as a realtor, not as a homeowner, as an investor. The only book that exists. So it wasn't out there. I had to write it. Dan's working on his book now. Hopefully, it'll be done soon. We'll be able to bring that to y'all.
Definitely gonna be published before the end of the year.
Yeah, man, let's get it done. So, what else we talking about, Dan? This mortgage moratorium. I don't want to know. I want to make sure everybody understands that there is a current. I'll bring it up. I got my screen up here. It's a current moratorium. I don't know your thoughts on that, Dan. Because when I did this video, everybody thought that this was over. Did you know it was over? Did you know that this was active, Dan?
I didn't know this particular one's active. I know some are still active, as well as even in some housing courts throughout the country, like in New York, they're still using COVID as an excuse.
You
Uh,
said that.
yeah, so I know it's surprising. It shocks me too, but it's just a reality.
Isn't this something, Dan? So they are not foreclosing on VA guaranteed loans, and this is going to be for the next few months. So I'm just trying to comprehend what happens at the end of this. Does the whole market change? Because we're talking about, this is hundreds of thousands, says $150,000, 150,000 veterans.
So, I got to be honest with you. When it comes to the veterans and situations like this, I'm kind of like partial to it. So if they
Oh,
still
no
use,
doubt.
yeah, if they're still using that as an excuse, I hear you. A lot of these veterans are suffering still emotional, mental.
No doubt.
you know, trauma. So maybe that's why there's so many, and maybe that's why they're doing this. But if you take away, but when they're doing this, like for FHA people or conventional mortgages, I don't have, I kind of have some sympathy on why they're doing this for
Hmm.
vets, to be
Hmm.
honest with you. But with normal loans, I don't agree with it because before it gets to the point of foreclosure, that homeowner has had
Yeah.
multiple opportunities to bring that mortgage to current, right?
Yeah.
You could either refinance it, you could put it into a short sale, you could do a subject to,
Sell it.
you could sell it. There's multiple ways to have tried to fix the problem, including renegotiating a new mortgage with the existing lien holder. Right?
Mm.
So, but what I find is that most people who find themselves in this position, or I wouldn't say
Denial.
most, but a majority of them, they just put their heads in the sand and think that the problem's going to go away.
It's got to be rough, man.
It's got to be dealt with. You got to confront the problem, seek advice from professionals,
Yeah.
figure it out, and then decide which direction you want to go into.
It's weird that my mentor, he lost 13 houses. I was by his side going to foreclosure after foreclosure after foreclosure. And then when they foreclosed on his own house, and I saw them put him on the street, and I noticed, and I finally came to the realization, guys, Dan and I have been doing this shit for a minute, right? We've seen a lot. You have no idea the stories we talk about off camera. A lot of the stuff I don't even share. This is who the role behind us that makes us these guys today. So when I saw him, I'm able to learn, see how he did it, but it's the emotion, Dan. And I'm sitting here like, hey, brother, I can help you. He didn't take any of the stuff I was trying to help him with, and I realized it's not necessarily the money situation; it's more the emotion where they don't want. They're just like they don't want to move. They don't even want to take and to put you on the street, your own home.
Yeah, and then after having done so well, right?
Yeah.
But most people that I see fall into that in our business, Chris, are people that started buying the hype and then started buying the over leveraging hype,
He did. He
right?
did. Over
So
leverage.
yeah, so I remember like in 2006, 2005, there was a guy named Antonio who was in my neighborhood and he was blowing up. Or the boy was like, he was moving, rocking and rolling
Fast.
real fast. And
Yeah, you gotta be
he
careful,
was
man.
like, you know, he was basically calling me an idiot for not
Hmm.
taking into my equity, that I'm
Hmm.
losing money, that it's
I
just
get that a lot, Dan. I get that a
yeah.
lot.
And my brother and I would get into some furious arguments. He's like, how's this guy come before after us and he's got more property than us?
Hmm.
We need to start taking bigger loans. We need to start refinancing.
Mm.
I was like, listen, you know what, man? We could split this up right now.
Mm.
Take your half, I take my half, and you go do what you want to do with your half.
Mm.
And he
That's
said, no.
deep, man.
He
Well, you
said,
got a few years in your brother, though, right?
we're about 8 years apart.
8 years, shit. 8 years could be the difference between a depression and a recession.
This is true. So I
Good
said to
God.
him, because I don't want to hold you back. It's not that I'm trying to be a schmuck about it, but
Mhm.
if it works for you, great. But I don't want to be the person to hold you back. And we're still together. We didn't break up. And Antonio was on the balls of his ass. He lost, I would say, out of about 30 properties, he lost about 27 of them.
I believe it. Refinancing.
Right.
Dan, go ahead.
No, so my point is bigger is not always better, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm telling you, I don't. When I see people promoting the bird, and by the way, round up homies, listen, come on live with us right now. There's a link right in the video description. Just click it. You can come on, ask your question right now with Dan Borrero and Kris Haskins. Come on, come on. Dan, when I see the burst strategy, I tried the burst strategy in 2005, 6, 7, 8. Didn't work for me. Well, I just couldn't cash flow. People, Dan, when I see people making $200-300 a month, I'm like, do you know that gets wiped out with one vacancy and one big repair
Boiler,
overnight?
AC unit, gone.
Roof,
Roof, done.
it's gone. That money
Sewer line,
gone.
gone.
So Let me ask you, Dan. What are they thinking, man? What is going through their heads?
Because you got people on social media, the quote unquote gurus, showing nice cars, big houses. By the way, guys, they're renting those cars, and they're renting the house to do a photo shoot for the day. Most of them.
Yep.
So a lot of times people are buying the lifestyle instead of buying the truth. So Chris and I, we're not showing you a fabulous lifestyle.
Oh no, I don't want to show you no lifestyle.
Telling you the truth. Like, you want to do this business successfully, you're gonna work. You're gonna work. You ain't working 40 hours a week. You're working 80 minimum.
Calvin, what up, brother? Good to see you.
What's going on, fellas?
How are
Kris
you?
Haskins, how you doing, man?
Look at this guy, model, entrepreneur, loan signing agent, investor, everything
What's going
in
on,
above.
brother?
Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I want to hop on up. I was listening to what you guys were saying about bigger is not better. I'm definitely interested in multifamily, like big apartments, syndications. That's where I want to go. That's the ultimate goal. So hearing you all say bigger is not better, I just wanted to kind of like figure out, why do you say that?
Dan.
So everyone has to move at their own pace, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're moving too fast, you're leaving a lot. You're leaving a lot of knowledge that's dropping behind you that you're gonna need further down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the advocate of being the turtle in the race, not the rabbit. Because I'm going to run my race according to what works best for me. I'm not going to concern myself with what person A, B, C, and D are doing. I'm going to run my race according to me, right?
Yes, sir.
So what happened in Antonio's case was because he bought into the hype.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that, by the way, Calvin?
About running your race?
No, that Antonio story he was talking about.
Yeah, he was. Well, it sounded like Antonio wanted to push hard.
Yeah, too fast. He grew too fast. Go ahead.
He was refinancing everything, soon after he got it, pulling every red cent out of it. 2008 hit. He wasn't collecting rents. The reality is this: when tenants suffer financial setback, so do landlords. So, right? And the other reality is, especially in New York, places like New York, if you say to me, "Well, I'm safe because I'm Section 8," you're not safe. In New York, it takes them anywhere between 4 to 6 months to catch up with the first payments. Right? So you have a tenant living there and you're not collecting any real rent. They'll send you a $200 check today. A month from that, they'll send you $1,200. Next month, they'll send you $2,400. But now they owe you 4 months, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, by the fourth or fifth month, they've caught up, right? Mm-hmm. And I've heard this and it's actually happened to me. Tenant walks in, she says, "I don't like this linoleum." This was years when I first started. You would never find a linoleum in any of my apartments today. But I was like, but I don't understand. It was here when you took the place, didn't you? You loved the apartment? It was here, wasn't it? Well, what is she? I get a letter from Section 8 that the floor, something's wrong with the floor, defective between the living room and the kitchen, and I go there and it was cut out. Now I have pictures showing it wasn't like that. And it passed inspection from Section 8. Otherwise, they would have never allowed me to rent to her. But you know what the response was? Fix it or don't get paid. Right? So now I got to fix it. I went and show her the samples to make sure she wouldn't do it again. Let me make sure that this woman likes it. Right? And because they didn't pay me, because the guy didn't get it done for 3 weeks, between me getting the sample, me getting it done, I went another 2 more months without rent. Now, if I was over leveraged on that property, I would have been hurting.
Yeah.
I would have been really hurting. But because I wasn't over leveraged, it was a 5-door building, right? So I had at that building at the time, I had 2 doors that I was having problems with collecting rent from.
5 doors, 2 no pays, so 3 pays.
And I had no problems paying my mortgage, the electric, the heat, the hot water, the water and sewer charge, insurance, because I wasn't over leveraged on the property.
Calvin, you talking about bigger doors than 5? What are you thinking?
I mean, well, the goal is to get over like 100 units. So,
well, listen, Calvin, my thing to you would be if you're looking at property that size, looking property that are Republican-run states because they're more landlord-friendly than they are Democratic states. Because
yeah.
when you're looking at property with that many doors, there's a whole lot more regulations on them than no matter what state you go to. But Democratic states are very encumbersome on landlords, especially when you have that many doors in one community or under one roof. So again, and that's not a political statement. I've said it here dozens of times. I do not believe in any one of those parties, the Democrats or the Republicans. I don't believe that either party has our best interests at heart.
Yeah.
So, but the reality is that if you look at where the most friendly states are for landlords, they're mostly Republican-run states.
Okay. And then another question I had is so if it's an owner financing deal, the taxes and insurance, if you have an owner financing deal, the taxes and insurance will be paid separately. That won't be won't be included like in the monthly payment. You would pay those, right?
That's how I've always done it, yes.
But hold up, we got all different types of seller financing, Calvin. You got seller financing where there's a mortgage already. You got seller financing free and clear. Which one you talking about?
I'm pretty sure it's free. So it's pretty sure it's free and clear. Pretty sure it's free and clear.
Let's just say, for instance, if it's seller financing with a mortgage, sometimes the mortgage payment's already included. You sub to in it, then you're seller financing with a wrap, right? And then if it's free and clear, so you have to decide. Well, Dan, what would you recommend? Would you recommend escrowing and collecting the 1/12 of the payment, or would you have the buyer pay it directly?
When I have owner financing, when I'm the bank, I put into the contract for deed that they got to pay the taxes whenever they've got literally 30 days from the time that I give them a copy of the tax bill. Right? I want to control that. I want to make sure it's getting paid because I don't want a tax lien on the property. I want to make sure I'm the first lien holder. Right? That's number one. Number two, most of the time though, when I've bought property and the owner's financing it, I get the tax bill and as well as the insurance bill, and I just escrow it. So if I know, and by the way, guys, I don't pay the tax bill every quarter. I just pay it in one lump sum because it's just not worth the time to me to worry about it every quarter, right? Plus, most municipalities, when you paid up front in the beginning of as soon as you get the bill, they usually give you about a 3% discount. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when the banks were only giving like 1/4% on savings accounts, and I'm saving 3.5% by just paying the bill up front, I'm paying it because I just saved. I just earned 3.25 more than if I had it sitting in the bank.
No doubt.
Right. So would I do that today? Because the banks are now paying 5.5%, right? In most part. So you got to see what the cost of money is and where your money's going to get the most bang for it. But normally, if it's under 20 grand for the year, I'm going to pay it all up front. If it's, the tax bill is 40, 50, 60,000, when you're looking at those type of doors, you're probably upwards of 100 grand.
This is just a condo. That's the long-term goal, what I was talking about. But
if you're looking at the big number doors, 40, 50, 60 doors under one roof, you're looking at close to $100,000 in real estate taxes. Yeah, I'm going to pay that quarterly. I'm not paying that up front.
Okay. Yeah. And then last question.
Some good questions you got, brother. It's good stuff.
Yeah. What's a healthy cash flow that you guys shoot for as far as like so the rent and then subtract the principal, the interest, taxes, insurance, what margin do you all look for like a healthy cash flow?
You want to take that one, Kris?
Yeah, we do both. So for me, I'm looking at minimum. I wouldn't even I'll do 400. I'll do that. But don't forget, Calvin, when I'm buying a house, all I'm doing is giving the homeowner a few dollars and taking over their mortgage payment. Period. I want to.
So you're only doing sub 2 then?
Well, not that I'm only. That's just my mindset. Is like when I'm thinking about buying real estate. Like we all have this mountain of stuff we think that buying real estate is, right? But for me, I have to just boil it down like $3,000 a homeowner, take over the payments, done, right? It's nothing else to talk about. So if I could do that and make $400 a month, I'm done. But I mean, I'm getting more. I'm getting 400, 500, 600 on some. But yeah, if the majority of my stuff is either all cash, low end, we're talking about buying holds. It's going to be low end properties where I can get out of it. I'll pay it off in 5 years, or taking over debt. That's really the only way I'm even buying right now.
Okay. Yeah, this property I just looked at today. The property selling it for 180.
180.
But he wants 20% down for the seller financing, which is about 36,000.
36.
Then the cash flow from my numbers, it was very thin. I mean, it was.
You got 40. You got closing costs too, so that's 40 to get in it.
Yeah, the closing costs, and then
what's the interest rate?
He wants 6%.
All right, so let's take that in. Did you already do the monthly payment on that?
The agent sent me. He said it'd be $1,700. I can get the exact number.
I'll put it up now. I love this. This is you talking my language now. I love y'all. This is where you need to be. Amortization.
He said $1,726, including principal and interest, property taxes, HOA fees, and homeowners insurance. And the crazy thing is, like, that's why I was asking about the taxes and the homeowners insurance, because I thought on a seller financing deal that wouldn't be like, I wouldn't pay that to the seller. I'd pay that to the county.
You said 6%?
Yeah, 6%.
Let me do this here, y'all. You gotta have
it's a condo. The condo fee is $400 a month. It's crazy.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah.
Hold on, where you getting? I'm Calvin. I'm here on my AM table, right? I got 140 because the purchase price 180, right?
180, yeah.
You putting down
36. Putting out 36.
I put closing costs too, so let me put 144. 30 years. You said 6%?
Yeah.
Calculate.
And then you got to add the $400 a month for the HOA.
Payments $863 plus 400.
Or I mean, maybe the agent messed the math up. Maybe I need to go back down.
That's $1,263. That ain't bad.
That's what.
That's only $1,263 is what I'm getting, Calvin.
With the HOA.
I got $863 here for your payment.
Yeah, and then he said, so I'm not sure if he's including the taxes and insurance in there.
Oh yeah,
that's what he said, taxes and insurance. So but that doesn't make sense to me unless he's just doing the math on that to tell me. Because it's like, if I'm doing a seller financing deal, why would I be paying taxes and insurance monthly to the seller? Like, I know if it was a lender, then you do escrow. But
you're still paying. You're gonna still pay the seller because the seller is the bank.
Oh, okay.
So what's the taxes and insurance? Let's say that's what, 300, 350?
I'd have to get that information. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
It's in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Dan, it can't be more than 350.
Where in Florida is it?
St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg is an active market. It's a very high populated area.
Oh yeah.
Let's just say it's 350. It can't be it can't be but so much more than that, though. I mean, you're talking $3,000 a year, right? I mean, $3,000-4,000 a year.
Yeah, around that number.
Okay,
your insurance in Florida, expect a 42% increase over the next 24 months.
Oh shit, you did say that.
It might be in a damn flood zone too. That's the bad thing.
I wouldn't even touch it.
Why not, Dan?
I mean, I'm in Tampa. Everything over here is a flood zone.
Insurance, man, is through the roof. The other thing is, let me ask you a question: Is it more than 3 stories high?
No.
It's 2 stories.
2.
So I would ask them if they have to adhere to the milestone and surge report. Those are 2 reports that just came out under Governor DeSantis that is whipping HOAs, a lot of HOAs in the butt. If they have to do those reports and they haven't done them yet, I'd walk away from the property because you're going to have a huge assessment.
It's in a building, Calvin. It's not a single family home, right?
No.
If it's under two stories and below, but the thing is, there's certain requirements. So if every other building has a dormer, that now makes it a 3-story, even though you can't use the dormer.
Wow.
I would ask the HOA if they have to adhere to any one of those reports. If they don't, kudos to you. If they do, walk away.
Yeah, you're 16.
So you said they're gonna have a bigger. So
I've got buildings, I got condos where I just literally experienced a 93% increase in HOA fees.
HOA fees or insurance, Dan?
HOAs. My insurance has gone up about 40% over the last 36 months. And now they're saying there's 2 insurance companies in the state that just asked for a 50% increase to the state. And when I see that happen, everyone else is going to start falling in line.
That's true. Calvin, you want to? What's the cash for? What's the rent? Can this bring in, Calvin? At 16, if you're all out of pocket, 1650. What can it bring in?
Mean, from what I saw, so he sent me some rent comps. I haven't dug deep in it, but the rent comps the agent sent me, he has a median at $1950, so $1,950.
Listen, now, this is what I normally do on a condo. If what's the acquisition price?
180.
But don't forget he's doing seller financing, Dan.
Yeah. So I put 20% down, which is 36.
The value is the seller financing.
So if I can't make no less than $500 a door, and my acquisition cost cannot be more than $160 at $500 a door, for every $10,000 that goes up, I got to go up another $25 or $30 on my cash flow per month. If I can't do at least $500 a door after all of my expenses, including debt services, I'm not touching it.
Yeah.
Even on a seller financing, Dan?
Seller financing might be a different animal.
Well, you've been a little bit. I just want to make sure that people
I will
understand.
bend a little bit, maybe go up another 10 at the most.
Got it.
But I'm not. Look, I'm not of that food of thought where, if you make $100 a door, you're doing good, because every time it pays you money, part of that rent, when you pay that mortgage, some of it's going towards principal. I'm like, yeah, that ain't working.
No.
Well, let me say this. Let me ask you this. The St. Pete and the Tampa market is booming.
I know it's sick.
So now this goes into another thing. There are times. Let's take let me give an example.
Give a thumbs up for this information. Give us a thumbs up in that thing below. Go ahead.
Last year, January 10th, I bought a condo for $117,000. Okay. This is in Altamont Springs, Florida, right off of I-4 exit 92. The tenant was only paying $850 a month. She had 6 months left on her lease. It was ending July 30th. June 30th. I buy the property for cash at $117,000. The tenant, I raised her. I sent her a lease renewal with her rent increase on February 1st, saying, listen, this is what your rent's going up to on July 1st, because your lease ends June 30th.
What was it, Dan?
She went up to $1,550.
So you doubled the related rent almost.
Because she was way below market. Right?
That's going to be a bad hair day.
She turns around and says, I'll do it.
Oh, snap.
Like immediately. Because she went out there and she knew what she must have gone out expecting this was going to happen. And those were the rents. I wasn't overcharging her.
Wow.
In that area, in that community, the rents were between $1,550 and $1,600. So I gave her an increase of $1,550, the lower portion of that rate, that range. I sold that property literally on the 30. I closed on it at the end of January for $180,000. So I wasn't making money with that with that rent
with the renter
until July 1st. So from July 1st to the end of January, July 1st of 2023. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? So I only made money for 6 months on that condo, on the rent roll.
Yeah.
The 850 was just paying that. I was barely making 100, 150 bucks a month. Right? Maybe about $200 a month because I didn't have any debt services. But I made my money on the sale.
Yeah, but you bought below market value. The Calvin,
No,
this is
actually that was the market at that rent roll for that community at the time. But I also knew what was going on in the community and that they had already collected all the special assessments for the new roofs and the recoating of the pool and all this other work that they were doing. So now I knew where that building was going.
Yeah.
So I actually paid market for that property in that condition with that tenant. But I did it because I knew the asset appreciation in the next 12 months where I was going to be. And if I sold it after the 12 months, I knew that I would get the capital gains tax rate, which would be about 30% less than I would have if I had sold it before the 12 months.
Yeah, that's how this market is here.
It's all a plan.
Yeah,
it's all a plan.
Oh, I was just saying that's how this market is here. Like Tampa, St. Pete, like people are moving in every day.
Listen,
every day. It's a hot
you are in the state of Florida. They had over 900,000 net population growth in 2023.
Wow.
When I say net, meaning if you add in all the people that moved in and subtract all the people that died and all the people that left, they had a net population growth of over 900,000 people.
Yeah, that's why I'm interested in
they're expecting that to grow to 1.2 million this year.
Good Lord.
That's why I want to tackle this deal. I'm like,
you can sell a financing too, dog.
Huh?
You can sell a financing, man. That ain't bad, bro.
Right. I just want as long as it cash flows,
sell financing at 6%. That's a great deal.
Yeah.
The guy who owns the property, he's just trying to cash out. Well, he's trying to get some money so he can put a down payment on this duplex that he wants. So he's just trying to make a move to buy another property. So
well, I ain't mad at that. You know what, Calvin? You got to decide for your own money. Like, can you take a hit for a little while till you can get a cash flowing? That's something you got to just ask yourself.
Yeah.
Is it currently rented? What's coming in now?
I don't know. It's not currently rented right now.
So you ain't gonna buy it today and then have a tenant tomorrow. That don't work like that.
Calvin, the other thing is you got to, when you figure in your acquisition cost, figure in that you have to pay. You're gonna have to pay the realtor to rent that out. That's
to get him to rent it out.
Right. So that's another fee you got to figure in.
Unless he
but that's paid by. Well, I guess it is. Yeah, because I wouldn't get that first. Well, I know the tenant would pay that, right?
Not mine. My practice in Orlando, and the landlord has to pay the real estate fee.
Okay, you're in Orlando.
You get security deposit.
I'm in the Central Florida area.
Okay, nice.
You still got the security deposit.
Oh, you know about this market, then?
I know it well, man.
Yeah, it's
everybody knows Tampa's booming.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. That's why I'm just trying to get my foot in the door.
Listen, the reality with Tampa too is this: the university there kind of screwed up the market. The university, because they took a lot of students in, and they don't have the housing for these students.
Yeah, I live downtown, man. What are you telling?
So the students are raising the cost of rent, where you could be. I remember 5 years ago, you go buy a house for $300,000 in Tampa.
Oh yeah, no, that's not getting you nothing.
The same house today is going to cost you $750,000, $800,000.
Yeah.
They're taking a 3-bedroom house with 2.5 baths and converting that into 4 bedrooms, right? And then they're renting each room to a student where the parents are paying upfront for the year.
Unbelievable.
And they're getting $15,000, $13,000 per room. So that one house now is generating, take a wild guess, $52,000 in rent for a single family house from students.
That's sick.
That's insanity. So the students are taking a lot of housing off the market from end users. And that's another thing what's increasing the price there, besides the population growth.
Yeah.
So you get your margin orders, Calvin. Good luck to you, man. Let me know how it goes. Stay in touch, my brother.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.
Take care, brother.
See y'all. We got somebody else here. They were there. Where y'all go? So you listen, y'all. I got Dan Borrero here.
How many people do we have on here now, Kris?
40.
Excellent.
40.
Guys, show us both some follows. That's all we ask, man. Go subscribe to both our channels.
Yeah, USA Land Bitches. Go over the Dan. I got something here, Dan.
If you go to DanielBorrellJr.com, you'll see the links to all my social media.
Okay, cool. Y'all, it's a link in the video description. Come on live with us right now. Tomorrow's President's Day, so Dan ain't working. You know he
I
gonna
work.
take off like
You know
he
what?
always
I didn't even
does.
go. I went to pull the garbage out. The garbage cans out of the garage. And my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, it's garbage night. They're gonna come pick up the garbage." She said, "President's Day," and I'm like, "How do you know?" And then I looked, and she goes, "Why would you not?" And then she starts laughing. It don't matter what holiday we work anyway.
You know,
It
the
don't matter.
only reason I know President's Day because I can't go to the bank.
That's
I
what I
can't
told my wife.
stand it.
I said, "So you're telling me we can't go to the bank?" And that's what she goes, and I got these checks to deposit tomorrow. I said, "Damn, I like going to
Yo,
the bank."
me, I was gonna make a principal payment on one of my mortgages tomorrow. I look forward to paying down debt. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, bank's closed. I'm so pissed. All right, the CEO. The CEO, I would love to see you here. If you're here, come on live because this is such an important topic to my heart because I want 10 single family homes cash flowing 650 each a month within a year. I love talking about goals and people's mindset and perspectives. And I know Dan's the same way because we get these questions and people ask stuff. But I want to stay here for a while because Dan, let's just talk about the person you need to be to manage 10 single family homes before we even talking about owning these shits.
Well, we got this. There's a lot
This
of
is all
steps.
night. Yeah, this is a whole.
There's a lot of steps before we even get there. I love for that person to come on live with us.
I would love to have you online here, CEO, if you're
That's
here.
like I had a question asked me about 3 weeks ago. Not a question. I met somebody. He's about 35 years old, hasn't really accomplished anything, and not because he's an idiot. He's one of the brightest people I know. But he likes having a good time, right? So he tells me, "Yo, I want to be a millionaire." So I says, "Kris," I says,
Not me. This ain't talking about me.
"There's another Kris." I said, "Well, you know what? Let me." I said, "Kris, you're already on your way to being a millionaire." He says, "Why would you say that?" I said, "You got a city job, and at the end of your 20 years, you get a pension, full medical, full pension."
Word?
I says, "And that pension, you don't have to pay city and state taxes on. All you got to pay is federal tax on."
One word?
I says,
That's who.
"So you're gonna be a millionaire without busting your ass, without having to worry when you go take a shower about the phone calls you got to make, or the time that you got to get up the next day." I said, "So just stay the course." He goes, "Well, why would you tell me that?" I said, "Because why would you come to me and tell me you want to be a millionaire? Anybody could be a millionaire today. Tell me you want to be a multimillionaire. Then I'll say, okay, let's talk about that." So he said, "All right, I want to be a millionaire." I said, "Great. Now tell me how you're going to do that." Just like this question here. This question is saying you want 10 houses, cash flowing $650 each, right, within a year. Great goal to have. What's your plan? You don't got a plan. What you want is just a dream.
This is a dream.
You gotta have a plan, and then you have to have you start with a goal. That's your goal. Now develop the plan.
I don't think we're mad at the goal. I'm not really mad at the goal.
I'm not mad at the goal either, but you need a plan. What's your plan?
We talked about this a little last week, but Dan, how many?
And then you got to actually execute on the plan. Even when you get up in the morning and your back hurts or you just don't feel like getting up, you still got to execute. There's nobody there to motivate you. There's nobody there to remind you. There's nobody there to encourage you. It's all you.
But there's so many moving parts to this, Dan. Let's just talk about what type of financing it would take to buy 10 houses in a year. What type of down payments? What type of cash reserves do you have?
That's part of the plan, right? So are you saving? Are you living below your means? Or do you have a mom and a dad who's going to give you the money? Is it their retirement money? Or is it actually money that they could afford to lose? Right? How are you? That's part of the plan.
That's deep. That's deep. I think the reason I like these, Dan, because there are people that say stuff out of their mouth and then they say, okay, let's get started. Step one, boom, 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 boom. Step two, boom, 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 boom. Right. And Dan is one of those guys. I call him out. Okay, let's think about it. Well, we got to do this. Let's go get a hotel. We'll talk about it. We'll go to dinner. It's like his mind instantly goes to trying to figure out how to work it out. Conversely, there are some people that say things that say, I want 10 houses in a year. We're flowing cash flowing $650 a month. And they say it. And the CEO, we're not saying this is you either one. I don't know which one you are. Some people like, I want this. I want 100 doors or whatever. And they in their heart, they know that's not something that they're prepared to go boom, 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 boom. Dan, can you talk about that?
Preparation. If you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. That's an old adage, old saying. God knows how
So
long.
true.
But it's the God's honest truth. If you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Right? But the other thing is, there's something here. Let me see if I got to share this with you guys. My wife saw this. Actually, my kids saw it and then gave it to my wife. And she gave it to me. There's nothing like a plan. There's nothing like a dream to create a future. All right. That saying is by Victor Hugo. Again, I'm going to say it again. There's nothing like a dream to create the future, because the dreams propel you to your future. But the only way to get there is to develop a plan.
Action.
And then you actually got to execute on every step of the plan.
Yeah.
And it's torturous.
That's a variable that I can't even predict for some people. Some people are going to do it and some people aren't.
Listen, I remember I dated my wife for 8 years. We've been together, married 35 years. So we've been together 43 years. And I dated her for 8 years. And people ask me all the time, why it take so long? I said, because I need to make sure she understood it was going to be a difficult life being married to me. I didn't have money. I knew where I wanted to get, but I didn't have the money to do it with. So I knew I would work as much overtime as I could get so that I could eventually leave that job to open up my first business. And then when I opened up my first business, the first 3 years, I sucked wind. But there was a goal and there was a plan, and I knew I was going to suck wind. But then the next 5 years was through the roof. I was making money hand over fist. But I didn't take one day off because I didn't know when it was going to stop. I was afraid to take a day off.
That's how I am.
And because I never took a day off, never went on vacation, I saved a load of money. I didn't even move. I didn't buy a new car. I didn't buy new furniture. I stayed in that old rinkety-dink apartment for $350 a month, right? Could I have lived somewhere else for $1,500 a month? Yeah, because that's what the rents were back then. But then I wouldn't have been able to save $1,250 a month.
Wow.
Per year, which was almost $15,000 at the end of the year. That gave me my next down payment.
Dan, let's move on to CEO. I want you to get one house. Dan, let me ask you, I got to move on. Can we just focus on getting the CEO one house? Is that an easier goal?
I think if depending on the market they're looking in, it's very, you go to Cleveland, you could get 10 houses in a year. Absolutely. I don't know if you're going to cash flow $650 a house, but the acquisition cost is so much less. If you're doing 500 a house, you're doing great because your acquisition cost wasn't as high.
I'm just worried about the CEO being a person that can manage 10 houses. If you got 0 now, I mean, are you even? I mean, I'm.
A lot of people say, look, but we'll give it to a managing agent. Great.
Yeah.
We're going to manage a managing agent.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Wildland Enterprises. What do you feel about purchasing a duplex that has a tenant already, Dan?
I don't have a problem with it.
I like it.
I like it and I don't like it. When you go look at the property, there's certain signs, there's certain things that you don't even have to hear the tenant say to give you an indication of the personalities of the tenant. So if you're walking into the hallway and you got boxes, carriages, bicycles, workout equipment, that's a problem tenant. And it's a lousy landlord. If you got cars parked in the driveway on the grass with no plates, you got problem tenants. You're taking on that landlord's headaches.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk into the apartment, if the place is, they're complaining to you about being roach infested, but you got dishes that look like they've been sitting in the sink for the past week. You got a problem.
Yep.
So, let the property tell you the quality of the tenants that are in there. That's number one. Number two, do not, under any circumstances, buy that property without getting a certificate of verification from the tenant, signed and notarized, as well as the landlord. And what does that mean? One time, tenant is moving out. Tenant tells me, you got to send me my security deposit. I says, yeah, I got you $500 in security, not a problem. She says, no, it's $2,000. I says, oh, all I got on my HUD, according to the landlord, was $500. And here's a lease that I got. That's not my signature. And here's a copy of the check, the canceled check for the security deposit for the $2,000.
They got you.
They got me.
Oh my gosh.
The law says, don't matter
Got
if
you.
they gave the money to the previous owner. I'm stuck with it.
Then hold up. How would you have been able to verify?
So now when I buy property with a tenant in it, the tenant has to I send a copy of the lease. They got to sign that lease and then notarize that they certify that
authorized
that's the correct lease.
Look at that.
And they also certify the current rent that they're paying, the last time they paid rent, and the amount that is on security deposit.
Oh my Lord.
And I get the same certification notarized by the landlord.
Well, on Enterprises, that is nothing but fraud.
It is what it is, man, but it happens all the time. And I thought that was a one-time occurrence. And when I spoke to other investors, they told me that they had similar experiences.
Wow. All right, let's do what we got. I'm gonna have raise the rent after we close. So the CEO, the history looks good, but I'm gonna have to raise the rent after you close. Don't forget, you can't raise the rent arbitrarily. You can't just go in there if you're in. Go ahead, Dan. I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, no, you're saying it right. You just keep going.
A lot of times you buy the house and the rent's renewing last month. You buy the house in January, the rent renewed in December. You got 11 months of $800. Like Dan knew that one that he bought in Florida, he had to wait until July. You can't just say, oh, well, they were raising the rents a day. So just remember that.
And you better know what the rental and housing laws are in that area before you start even talking to a tenant and making demands. So what I do is if I go into a new area, besides going online to look at the housing laws and the regulations, I'll pay an attorney $300 to sit with me, and I'll go with my list of questions and make sure I get all my answers to my questions. Because when I speak to a tenant, I want to make sure I'm within the confines of the law. Right?
There you go.
I don't want to break the law because that just makes things more difficult.
Last question, we get you out of here, Dan. Look at Harry. Dallas, Texas. What's up, homie? We got 50 people on here, Dan. Want to hear what Dan Borrero. Listen, y'all, just give us a second. Like the content. Give us a follow. USA Land Ventures. Kris Haskins right here on YouTube. It's our pleasure.
BorreroJr.com. All of my social media contacts are there.
There you go, right there. Harry, what would be the best way to get into a property? Somebody, y'all can come on here live and ask the question. The house hack. I've had my own business for 2.5 years now. So you're self-employed.
So self-employed people to get mortgages are a lot more difficult. What I tell people is when you got a job,
let your job work for you.
Banks seem to feel that you're a lot more secured risk when you have a 9-to-5 job.
Mm-hmm.
I think differently, but it's irrelevant what I think.
Yeah, you ain't loaning nobody no money.
Yeah. So when you're self-employed, the banks are going to scrutinize you from here to kingdom come. 2.5 years is just about barely making it. They're going to want to see they're going to first ask you for 2 years of tax returns. And then I'd be surprised if the underwriter doesn't ask you for the 3rd year of tax returns. So that's number one. Number two, house hacking, if you're a young person, young family.
That's what I did.
I love it. I love it.
That's what I did. Rent out the rooms, dude. You got no mortgage payment. Zero.
Either that, or you can rent out buy a two-family, rent out the upstairs. You won't pay it. It should cover most of your mortgage, if not all of it, if you put enough of a down payment, if you bought the property right. So yes, I like the idea.
No, I would too. And don't forget, who was it? Harry, and bring you back up. I have to bring y'all around. What is the definition of buying a house? And I'm just gonna say in my world, giving the seller a few $1,000s, taking over the loan payment. All right. I don't want y'all to think now that is a way to buy a house. Getting the mortgage is a way to buy a house. Seller financing, there's so many ways. So I don't want y'all to just think, especially you, Harry, that you have to do it the traditional way. You can, but buying a house, taking over the seller's payments, that's one way to do it. But they got some good loan products out there too, don't they, Dan? I don't know anything about them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about it. It's been a long time since I've gone for mortgages, and I hate
Yeah.
to talk about it because I'm not proficient.
Yeah, I'm not. Me neither. All right, Dan. It's been cool. Oh man, we got one of our members here. What up? What up? One South Business. Dan, what do you want to give us to get us through the week to finish out for positive attitude?
A lot of
activity?
people are off tomorrow. Instead of sitting around doing nothing or hanging out or
Read.
watching the game, you could be
Start
reading.
with the book. Yep.
You could
Download my book.
You could be, yeah. If you have a
Study the scripture.
goal, start developing your plan. Like
Ask somebody for some money.
just have a productive week.
Yeah, man.
Don't you can't expect to grow muscles if you don't go to the gym and work out.
Don't work.
It's
Impossible.
not going to work out. It's not going to happen. There's no magic pill.
Mm-mm.
There's no magic pill, right? So have a productive week. I'm not going to say have a glorious, great week, healthy week. No, have a productive week.
You know what, Dan? Even when I feel bad when I watch more than an hour worth of TV, my mind is like, Kris, you could be doing so much better.
You know what, Kris? I got to be honest with you. Sometimes I just I did a proof of concept yesterday for the people that purchase my video library that come to my mentorship class for free. I do a free mentorship class every single Wednesday night. The link is in that website, danielborrerojr.com. And I did a free walkthrough with one of my properties showing them, the material that I use. So I have a book that I go by that I give my contractors, and I say, this is the material I want you to use. Everything's in there, right? Literally.
Yeah.
So people, my students were there, and we were there for 4 hours.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So I came, and because they just kept inundating me with questions. And then, you know what? I was so impressed with the questions. And I was
Please tell me you recorded this stuff.
Some of it, not all. It was no intent to do it that way. But then my brother showed up, and I was like, you need to record this because this is really good content.
Yeah.
But in either event,
oh no, is this me? My internet crashed.
I got changed. I said, let me just sit here for a minute. I was out cold. It just consumes. It just drains all the strength out of your mind, right? So, but again, yesterday I normally would say it's not productive. I mean, I did work for about 5 hours, but at the end of the day, on a Sunday I usually like to put in at least 8 hours.
Good Lord, Dan, you're a damn computer. You're a robot. All right, y'all. I wanted to leave y'all with this. He who does more than what he is paid for will eventually get paid for more than what he does. Okay? I am so... How can I frame this up? I went to Maryland this weekend, and I am so burned out with this selfish, self-centered me consciousness that is going around our country and our community. Me. I'm so, what can I get out of this? What can I get? I'm just so tired of it. And I'm here to tell y'all, if you can just focus on doing more as opposed to trying to get more. I don't know why this shit works.
It comes.
I don't understand it. Then when I'm in Maryland, I see people, I'm trying to get paid. I deserve this. I deserve 100,000. I needed this. You can't even, I'm driving anything. People don't even let me in. They won't even let me merge. I'm like, what is going on? Why can't we give? No one wants to give. Everybody wants to get. So focus on doing more than you pay for, and eventually you'll get paid more than what you give. All right.
I agree.
Round up, homies. I love you. Make sure you hit the subscribe, like the button. Please share this with somebody else that needs to understand entrepreneurship and real estate investing. Dan, much love to you. Talk to y'all.
Take care.
Okay, peace.